overall select music. Today I want to talk about this record right here. Stimulator Jones, Exotic Worlds and Masterful Treasures, released on Stone's Throw. This was easily one of my most anticipated records of this year. Ever since I heard Stimulator Jones's track, Soon Never Comes, on the Sophie's SOS tape released in 2016, I've gotten excited any time that Stimulator Jones had put out some new music, shared it on SoundCloud. And I was really hoping that eventually he would put out a full-length album, and at the beginning of the year, this album got announced, and ever since that announcement, I was really looking forward to this record. But now that I finally have it in my hands and I've listened to it, how do I feel about this guy? Well, let me talk a little bit about it. So for those of you who don't really know who Stimulator Jones is, he's a multi-instrumentalist slash producer from Virginia who seems to have an affinity for old 90s hip-hop mixed with slow, ballady, 80s Quiet Storm-esque R&B. And he does it seemingly pretty authentically and lovingly. All the songs on here definitely have that throwback vibe to them. But it seems like, as opposed to someone like Chromeo, there isn't really, none of it's tongue-in-cheek and none of it's done with really any irony. There's actually a pretty honest, pretty sort of almost humble attitude throughout this entire record. And it ends up making for some really interesting moments. There's some great tracks on here. Again, Soon Never Comes, great highlight. Some other songs. I love the closer on here, Tempt Me With Your Love. I love Give My All. It's definitely one of the more upbeat tracks on here. And I gotta say, there is not a song on here that doesn't feel lovingly crafted. All the music on this record sounds really good. And you could definitely tell that there's some real time, effort, and talent being put into these tracks. The problem is, I don't know if this sort of sound really appeals to me anymore. Because I've honestly found myself getting pretty bored listening to this record. Maybe bored isn't exactly the right way of putting it, but I do honestly find myself usually cutting this record off about halfway into listening to it. And I think a big problem for me with this record is that it's a little bit monotonous. Now, when I first started listening to Stimulator Jones's music, as I just described, it's a mix of like old school hip hop mixed with some really atmospheric Quiet Storm, Shalimar, For the Lover in You-esque track. And I really like that kind of music. What I didn't take into consideration is, did I really want to listen to that over the course of an entire album? There are a few more up-tempo tracks for sure. Waterfalls kicks things off a little bit more lively, and as does Give My All. But then I do feel like, especially on the second half of this record, there are a lot of tracks that really do just sound like they're all cut from the same cloth. And on top of that, I also gotta say, this is kind of a bit of a dour record. There really aren't any light, playful moments on here, and I really feel like this record suffers as a result of that, which does tend, at least for me, to turn this into a little bit of a slog. That being said, I still recommend this record at the end of the day. When I'm in the right mood for it, I do find myself enjoying it. I think Stimulator Jones is a fantastic vocalist, and he's got the aesthetic quality of that 80s R&B Quiet Storm sound that he's trying to make, or at least I think he's trying to make. I think he's got the vocal styling down perfectly. And despite the fact that he doesn't have the biggest vocal range, certainly not like a Shalimar-esque vocal range, the man actually does have some pretty legit pipes, and it gets a little bit strained when he gets into falsetto territory, but not so strained that it makes you question why he would try to sing in a upper register that's way beyond what he's able to pull off. There's also some pretty interesting tracks on here as well. One of my favorites, Tripping on You, is a slower jam of a track, and it's got a really lumbering beat, and I really like the way that Stimulator Jones sings on this track. Taken in little bits and pieces and little moments, I do find that this is a great record with some really, really, really good songs, and if you like that old school 80s R&B slow jam sound, you're probably going to like this record. What I will say is, as an album listen, it is a bit of a slog, and I do find myself wanting to throw something else on, usually about halfway through listening to this. However, like I said, if taken in little bits and pieces, I do think a good time can be had with this record, and I definitely think you should check it out. I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, my problems with this record actually have more to do with my own music taste than the record itself. Because as a musician, producer, and vocalist, Stimulator Jones is solid across the board. And going into this record, I had my own set of expectations of it sounding like some semi-atmospheric throwback 80s Quiet Storm-esque R&B. And that is exactly what I got from this record. It met my expectations dead on. I think, honestly, the problem is I thought I would love this sound more than I actually do. And having that sound basically for the course of a 40-minute album, as much as I thought I would really enjoy that kind of music for an entire album, well, maybe it turns out that I don't really enjoy that as much as I thought I would. But who knows? This album might actually end up growing on me as the years go by. I'm definitely not going to get rid of it, and I'm definitely going to listen to it more in the future. But as it stands right now, I feel like as much as I do like that sort of 80s R&B sound, maybe I don't enjoy it quite as much as I thought I would. But who knows? My music tastes are constantly shifting. So maybe in the future I might come back to this record and realize that I actually enjoy it more than I thought I do. So we'll see what happens. So those are my thoughts and opinions on Stimulator Jones, Exotic Worlds, and Masterful Treasures. If you've given this record a listen, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Also, head over to my WordPress or Steemit blog. Links, as always, is in the description. And if you haven't listened to this record yet, head over to my WordPress or Steemit blog, because that's where I put the audio links to any record or records that I talk about in these videos. Speaking of which, also head over to my Mixcloud page, there we go, as I just finished a new Raw Select radio, so you can check that out and just get an idea of all the music that I've been listening to and collecting throughout the years. I should also be putting up the DJ mix that I finished recently pretty soon. Probably put it up maybe in about a week or so. And definitely give that a listen. And hopefully, if everything pans out the way that I want it to, I should be getting a new camera, so I'm not going to be using the web camera anymore to shoot these, so hopefully upping the production quality of this YouTube channel, as well as finally doing some more out and about, out in the world, vlogs of life in Japan, as well as showing you some footage of some of the DJ events that either I'm playing or attending, and just sort of giving you an idea of the event culture in Japan, as well as record shops. That's always been my intention with this channel, is to give you an idea of what Japan is like. And with this camera, hopefully, I will be more motivated to get some content that's not just me, you know, sitting in front of my record collection in my apartment. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks as always. Peace!